Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the post-show live chat, where we're going to be talking about everything that went down at Hometowns in The Bachelor. On the episode that just aired, welcome. How's everyone doing tonight? Hope you're doing well. Before we begin our usual live chat, of course, we got to go over the rules. Number one, please, no posting spoilers in the comment section or in the chat. Of course, anything that has been sleuthed out, anything from an official source like Twitter or from producers or an official account, totally allowed, but any blatant outright spoilers, not welcome. I'm going to do my best to answer any questions I see in chat. Of course, super chats, like I see ya, again, I'll get to that in a second. Those will be getting priority. And last but not least, be kind to each other. And that's about it. Oh, and if you are tuning into this, looking for the recap, if it's someday Tuesday and you've only stumbled upon this but are looking for the recap, this is just where we're going to be having some casual chatting about the show that just aired. And the recap is going to be on its way real soon. So get right in that. Already with the super chat, Asia, thank you so much. I didn't expect Serena would break up with Matt. That women tell-all is going to be a mess. I'm so ready for it. Oh, yeah. I was wondering what they were going to do with the women tell-all, because with all of this Chris Harrison stuff that's going on, there were talks that they might possibly even not air it. But that seems that seems like I wouldn't expect that from anyone in production or ABC. Looks like it's going to be going on as usual. That was taped before all of the stuff with Chris Harrison came out. As for the After the Final Rose, that will not be hosted by Chris Harrison. And yeah, I mean, it was... I kind of agree with you as the episode went on, or as it started, or even going into the episode. I didn't expect Serena to self-eliminate in the way that she did. But I'm also not surprised, because it was sort of set up that Serena and Matt were not, or she was not feeling it with that whole tantric yoga date the episode before. So I guess I expected it to happen at a rose ceremony and not like that, but I'm also not surprised, in a way. But thank you for the super chat. And for those of you who are just tuning in, wondering what happened, yes, Serena did go home. She self-eliminated when Matt came to have a chat with her after all the hometowns. Sort of left Matt reeling, wondering if anyone else might not accept his rose. But, of course, the three other women did. And Alicia, thank you for the super chat. Do you think Michelle walks? There was no fantasy footage of her, and he was weeping. So, one thing we know for sure is that there is a lot of Michelle footage to come. And thank you for the super chat as well, for supporting the stream. We do know that there is a lot of Michelle footage still from the previews. There are 2 dates, which I guess could be one, potentially, and I get anything could, happen on multiple dates, but there are 2 separate pieces of footage with Michelle. One where her and Matt are in a pool, and one where her and Matt are pouring like milk all over each other from the previews. So I'd say, in fact, it's more likely that Michelle is a final 2. And I think this episode is setting that up for us as well. In my opinion, they seem to be throwing some doubt on Bree now. At the end of that episode, the sort of where are things going with Bree seems to be the main question. If anyone walks, I'd say it's Bree. They did set up the I'm afraid of someone else rejecting me from Matt, and then Bree, questioning, why she was the last one to receive a rose. So I'd say instead of it being Michelle walking, more likely Brie, if someone's going to walk. These previews, I'm so guarded, it's hard for me to take them at face value sometimes. Could be just about anything that happens that makes him upset, but I'd say more likely Brie, in my opinion. And John, thank you for the super chat. Rachel's hometown, yeah, crash and burn, and the parents, especially in the context of everything that's going on. With Rachel's apology and everything, pretty uncomfortable to watch. And they edited that hometown date like they would any other date. It's an edit we've seen 1,000 times before, with the dad who is, oh, well, what about these, he's dating 3 other women, and it just sort of was like not touched upon at all, any of the outside of the show stuff. So I guess that's the direction. We'll see really how they handle all of this after the final rose, because they seem to be, with the edits that they've got already from the show, they seem to be just kind of letting it happen, not addressing anything, at least in terms of the show. No message at the beginning like shows sometimes do when there's a controversy or allegations against one of the people on the show, or apologies that have come out. But the real test will be how they handle the after the final rose, which I'd heard rumors they've approached Rachel. I don't know if she's accepted anything. I don't know how valid those rumors are, or to what extent they've approached her, whether it's with an offer or with just like a, hey, would you be interested, like a feeler or something like that. But that'll really tell the tale on how willing they are to address everything that's been going on with Chris Harrison and Rachel Kirkconnell, and how many questions they bring up. Do they bring up the topic of racism and the show going forward? That'll really tell the tale. So, and next on the super chat list is Elena. Thank you for that. Thoughts on Matt James' statement about Rachel? Yeah, I have it. I believe I have it here. Let me see if I... Yeah, he posted on Twitter. I know it's not like huge and it's a whole bunch of text there, but he posted a statement right before the show about everything that's been going on. So you can read it. I think it is a pretty, powerful statement. I never before as a lead, talked about the show in this way while they're still on the show, addressed racism and changes the show needs to make, while they're still the lead. The interesting thing for me is at the end he says, and you can read it in the last paragraph, I will continue to process this experience and you will hear more from me in the end. So there's more to talk about, which means Rachel, I think, to me, it says Rachel is a big part of the season. So final 2 for sure. And that makes sense in the scheme of things. I think you're looking at who's left, and whether it's editing or sleuthing, the connections that we've seen, who seems to be in the forefront. Brie seems like the odd one out, in my opinion. So either way, we're going to be seeing Rachel make it to the very end of the show. And there's a lot still to talk about, apparently. So you'll hear more from me in the end. says Matt. But yeah, it is it's all messy. But again, we're gonna see we are gonna see, like, we talk about accountability, and we talk about, these people who are putting out, like Chris Harrison and Rachel are putting out apologies, and apologies are one step. It takes a lot of action to show true remorse and accountability and a desire to improve and better yourself. And the After the Final Rose is going to be that next step where we see, okay, what direction is everyone taking? But more importantly, we're also going to see ABC's response to this, because at the end of the day, ABC is the third party in this, or in the show production is the third party here, who hasn't commented really, hasn't made a major statement about anything. So how they plan to address it, that also is going to be really telling at the After the Final Rose. And I hope they address it and they talk about it. And I will be extremely disappointed if they don't, or if they gloss over it. So they have an opportunity to do something, and I hope they take it. And Allison, thank you for the super chat as well. Next on the super chat list, you think Chris will return following the AFR as soon as everyone, quote, forgets? If I'm going off of the show's track record, I would probably say yes. In my opinion, I personally think he should not be hosting The Bachelorette or the After the Final Rose. I think what they should do is they should get Rachel to host The Bachelorette. And they can get, cast members from Paradise to host Paradise. It has only been a couple of months, by the time we get to filming The Bachelorette, if that, since everything's gone down. And that's not a lot of time to, embark on proper training and, learning and taking the steps that Chris Harrison and the franchise need to take. So to me, that's my opinion. Why not have someone who has been a Bachelorette before, who has hosted stuff before, hosting The Bachelorette? It's not a huge job. Like, unless there's a whole bunch of managing that's going on behind the scenes that I don't know about, you can handle a season where, you have someone else taking over. And Paradise, you could get past, members from Bachelor in Paradise coming in to do hosting duties. Do like what they've done on a season before, right? They've had cast members hosting group dates on the past many seasons. Have that for Paradise, or have no host for Paradise. And then, we'll see where Chris Harrison is at in his, as he stated himself, his journey to be better. We'll see where he is come that time. But I just think also, if you're looking at this from the point of view of someone from ABC, this is really fresh. Could having Chris Harrison hosting the show still be a liability too? I mean, that's my opinion on the matter. Do I think he'll be back? Probably. But we're going to see. And Kaleidosaurus, thank you for the super chat. Did you see Matt's Insta? We should break that down and discuss if you weren't planning to already. Oh, I'm guessing you're talking about his statement already. Yeah, I know. Definitely read that. And if you haven't, he posted it on his Instagram. He posted it on Twitter as well. Go read the full statement. I could show it again, but it's like small and not very fun. Like when it came out right before the show, so I just quickly threw that in here. But it is a pretty powerful statement coming from a lead currently on the show. The current lead. So go check that out if you haven't. And big super chat, thank you so much from Jessica. Really appreciate it. So you can order a proper late night poutine or order one to enjoy during next week's Messy Tell-All. My father is French Canadian, and that poutine was a fraud. Don't believe everything you see on TV, folks. Oh man, that poutine. Excuse me, I am from Ontario. I am from Southern Ontario. So give it that Southern Ontario poutine pronunciation. Yeah, that hit me in the Canadian flag real tough, real hard. So that poutine was, if you want to take a look at it, go on my Twitter at Bachelor Fan Take. There is a picture of the poutine, and it is that was not made by a Canadian. And if it was, they're going to Canadian jail. But thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. We'll get some real poutine with that. And Wolverine 3030, thank you as well for super chatting. Really appreciate it. Fantake, what are you most excited about for next week? Oh, no windmills. No windmills at all. Fantasy Suite Week. What big week? I don't know. I'm hopeful that there's some strong romantic connection with Michelle that we're gonna see push to the forefront and give us some hope for the finale, because at this point, I think, there's no way at the end of this that Rachel, even if she's the final pick, and Matt have a love story. It's hard to imagine. Even if through all of this, Rachel is truly embarking on a journey of, as her apology talked about, bettering herself. With all the media scrutiny, everything that's come out, there's no hope, I think, for Matt and Rachel. It's just too much. Even the best of scenarios, let's just say, look at this like it's the best scenario possible, where she's truly, in love, and he's in love, and she's working to, embark on that journey of anti-racism. There is no love story. Sorry, it's hard. It is so hard to imagine. But maybe with Michelle. So I thought her hometown with the kids, so sweet, the family, really, really likable. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to Michelle's fantasy suite because, again, I do not see Bree coming out. Maybe. I thought Bree had a great, likable hometown, and they have a connection, but the editing seems to indicate that she's the odd one out, unless there's a shift, unless this crying business with Matt in the previews is a surprise. But that's what I'm looking forward to next week. And no windmills. And Katie, thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. I was thinking instead of a host, they have the last lead act as host. It would make the one-on-one combos more relatable to the person going through it. Interesting. And then they pass on the torch season after season. I like the idea. The only flaw in the idea is that either for this season, or I guess unless you're also talking about like Matt would then host the Bachelorette, but we're gonna go with Bachelor hosts Bachelor. The only downfall would be we'd be having a Peter hosted season, probably co-hosted by Barb. So so there's a risk. It's a risk reward. But I like it. And I think, it a lot of this, it's very easy to host. It seems to be, if you're a profesh. The difficult part is actually the tell-all and the after the final roast. That's the part where, I'd always thought Chris Harrison earned his paycheck, I guess. That there's a more of a finesse and a difficulty in guiding those conversations. But it's a very important talent to have. Also why he shouldn't be hosting the after the final rose, because important conversations are going to need to come up. And with everything that's gone on, he shouldn't be doing that. But I like the idea. And let me just catch up here on some of the super chats. See if I've missed some more. I know I haven't missed any, but don't want to miss any in between. Next up, I've got Aisha 2015. Thank you for the super chat. Why didn't Matt have that huge beard this whole season? He looks like he could find his way around a charcoal grill. Yeah, or chop down half of the Nemacolin Woodlands Forbidden Forest. So interesting. I'd seen the beard from his interviews and stuff, but I guess he's bringing it out to the Womentel. I chat with I know maybe you're saying you're a big fan of it. My mom's immediate, because we chat during the show. No, she wasn't a fan of the Grizzly Man beard. But to each their own. To each their own. Maybe the season could have gone down differently. Thank you for the super chat. And Kaleidosaurus again. So let's speculate Rachel is final one, and he ends things with this new information. Likelihood of him maybe getting back together with a final four at the AFR or later. Interesting. I mean, we've seen it quite a bit. We've seen it a lot before, where a final pick, they've gone back. I mean, obviously Peter is a very recent example of that. Hannah Brown. At the end of the day, very possible, but it seems to not work out. Unless you're, there's the Ari and the Jason Mesnick of it all. But that was immediate. Odds of that? Maybe with Michelle. But, you're talking Bree. Don't see it unless something major changes. Serena, definitely don't see it. And then any of his final six, I don't know. Tough to say. So, someone said, people are being racist in chat. If you're being racist in chat, get the hell out of here. We've got one mod working. Please. None of that. None of that, please. I focus on the super chats, and I don't always see chat especially when I'm talking. I'm trying to think about what I say. If you're posting something, just no, that is unacceptable in here. Be kind to each other. That's one of the rules. So if you're not following that rules, get out, get banned. And sorry if you see that. So, Madison Chandler, thank you for the super chat. Let's move on from that. Hopefully we can. Thank you for supporting the channel. I feel like I'm guessing Matt has been making it so obvious that he feels the strongest about Rachel, especially when he admitted he was falling in love with her so early, and I feel like he can't hide it. Yeah, he absolutely, and again, talking on like Bree being the odd one out, the way he responds to Bree when she is saying she's in love with him versus the other women, and I'll post it in the recap, is very telling. And he responded to Rachel weeks ago saying he's falling in love with her. And with some of the other women, it's like, thank you for sharing that. thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Like you did with Jasenia, and I think it's clear that it's only two women at this point. Michelle or Rachel. So, unless something miraculous happens in the next episode. So, thank you for that super chat, and I definitely agree. So, the talk, yeah. Jackson's come to join the live stream. Tucky. Yeah, he's here. He's lying down and he's staring at me, annoyed. And Madison, again, thank you for the super chat. Exactly. I hate when he says thank you for sharing. He sounds like a teacher after someone gives a presentation. Yeah, it's, you know, I can't blame Matt. You know, I don't know what I would say in that situation if I wasn't feeling it was someone and they said that and I was on the show, and you don't want to, you know, hurt their feelings. But if you were feeling it, you'd respond appropriately. And he did to like two of the women on past one-on-one dates, Rachel and Michelle. So, and you know, I'm going to talk a lot about this in the review of the season. We're going to talk about Matt as the Bachelor. I think his inexperience with the show is showing. I think a lot of there's probably a lot of like in defense of Matt. There's probably a lot of pressure and lack of understanding of what to do. So that's why he's kind of a background character to the season. One of the reasons. So and Emily, thank you for the super chat. You talked about the season being down to two women. Is Michelle still your final pick? I don't know. I'll be honest, everything that's been going on outside of the show makes me think that he picks Rachel. And I can't say that with certainty because there's nothing that distinguishes to me between Michelle and Rachel. From the edit and from the preview footage, it's just the fact that ABC is trying to cover the response to this is so strong. But then there's also a part of me that's like, well, I think the response would be just as strong if she was the final two as well. So, you know, there's plausible deniability there. But it feels like that's this mess of a season. That's where it's destined to end. With how the whole response of everything that's been happening. So And Annie, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for supporting the stream. Um, at this point, I feel strongly that it's Rachel and Michelle. In the and again, we'll be talking more about this in the preview breakdown. But narratively, with preview footage, with the way, they're setting it up, with the way Matt seems to connect, with the amount of screen time everyone's gotten, it like Bree would be the odd woman out of the three. And I think there was something posted on Bree's Instagram after she it's kind of like a cheeky comment she made or post after the episode last week where she talked about leaving her job to be on the show. Like she was something like looking for a new job or I don't know. It seemed to indicate that she was saying it was a mistake, which again why would she say that if she met the love of her life or they were engaged or something? So, and Lisa, thank you for the super chat. Do you believe the story this latest preview is trying to pitch with Rachel being upset of him sleeping with other women and leaving? No. No. Previews are always mega fake outs. Most of the time. Unless there's some hard evidence. The main goal of the preview is not to always tell you the truth, but to get you invested in watching the next episode. And 90% of the audience forget what last week's previews are. They go on with their life. They've got a whole work week ahead of them. They tune in. It's only when you have stuff that's, that they keep bringing back week after week. For example, Colton's fence jump thing. That wasn't a fake out. Or Peter's whole thing with that ended up being real. That ended up being a kind of fake out, but it was, the end of the season stuff that they kept. Oh, someone's not coming or whatever. They kept replaying. But when they only give you something once, you always have to kind of look at it with a bit of a weary eye. So, like I talked about before, I think if any of the three women are going to leave, it's more likely to be Bree than Rachel or Michelle. So. And Hope, thank you for the super chat. I cried watching Michelle's hometown, the date, her students, and her family. She seems so genuine to me. I agree. I loved her hometown. They started off with a good feeling hometown right at the beginning of the episode. And I think, personally, she's who I'm looking forward to her fantasy suite. She's who I'm rooting for. If not, she could be a great bachelorette. She seems very intelligent, confident. So, I really liked her hometown too. Really cute with all the kids. And if she was bachelorette, we'd get to see her. We get to see Ephraim again. So that has to be the most important reason to bring her as bachelorette. So that's my vote. That's my vote this week of the women left. So, and Cherry Pie 26, thank you for the super chat. Do you think ABC will face pressure for the next Bachelor to be a person of color, black and indigenous person of color? Do you think they'll pick Michelle for this reason? I just love her. I think So great question. I think there is definite. So a couple of weeks ago, I was spoiled, and I've said this before on the stream. I opened up Twitter, and like someone had tweeted that this person is going to be the next Bachelorette, and that has so far not happened. There's been no announcement, no anything. So my guess is that maybe things, because of everything that's gone down with Chris Harrison, maybe that'll change. I don't know. We'll see. If I were on that executive team, I would definitely not be making any decisions right now. Be a bad time to make any rash decisions. But I totally think that Michelle would be a great pick for the Bachelorette for so many reasons. Apart from her being a woman of color, I think she would be a great lead because of the kind of person she is, the personality she has as well, the adorable dates with her Zoom call with her class that we'd see, and again, Ephraim. So that is my thesis. End of PowerPoint presentation. I would also be happy, we've talked about Katie, we've talked about Abigail. I know some people have said Abigail, she seems like innocent and she could be taken advantage of by production. And I say that's a fair point. I could see other people saying, and Michelle wouldn't. She'd stand her ground. So I agree. She'd be a good pick. As for will she be, I don't know. But maybe more likely now than before. So, I mean, that's like if Matt doesn't pick her. But she'd be a great choice. So, and Kimberly, message retracted. Thanks for the super chat anyways. But and Megan, thank you for the super chat. Do you think Heather was genuinely misled or went knowing her situation was a gimmick? Obviously, Edit was akin to the latter. Is she destined for paradise? I think it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. I think for sure the show wasn't surprised by her coming on. So I think she probably didn't expect to come in so late. And then come into a scenario where women are already on edge about new arrivals. It was a horrible situation to come into. Women already had new arrivals. And there always seems to be this sort of like tenseness, unless you're a front runner or like someone like one of the, front runner for Final Four at that point in the season. So coming into that, I do think she was misled. But I also think she was aware and fine with coming in. I don't think she knew she was going to come in that late. I don't think she was in on it and totally fine with the situation that happened just for like, I don't know, TV time or something. Is she destined for paradise? Yeah. I think from what I'd heard like a couple of weeks ago, there's going to be a large cast. Like they're making it large. I know there are a lot of people, there are a lot of seasons to pull from. I think they're making it larger than normal. If people are willing to come and if everyone, follows COVID guidelines and all that. And quarantines and everything. So yeah, Bachelor in Paradise. That was from that was from a Chris Harrison like article, I don't know, a month or so ago. Before all that. Before all this, before the extra interview and everything. Cuz you think like they have Peter's season to choose from, people from Peter's season, Tayshia Claire's season, people from this season, people from the next Bachelorette season, people from Listen to Your Heart. Oh man, lots to get through. But I guess we'll see. But definitely they're going to be doing Paradise. If they can do Bachelorette and if they can do, this season of The Bachelor, they are definitely planning Paradise. So would I want to see a second season of Listen to Your Heart? I didn't hate Listen to Your Heart. Didn't hate it. It was a little much, but a little forced. But I mean, why not? There were some good people that came out of that. There were some, yeah, Matt and Rudy, Chris and Bree, unfortunately. So, I don't know, it was like listening to the songs and stuff. It wasn't outstanding, but I didn't think it was terrible. So, odds on anyone from Peter's season being the Bachelorette? Oh, I think there's no chance anyone from Peter's season is going to be the Bachelorette. That would be like no one from Peter's season was the Bachelorette immediately after Peter's season. So I think there's no chance. They did not want anyone from that season, and there are many great candidates from this season who could be Bachelorette. I think. Like even with the edit that they've been receiving from this season. Like it's hard to see Brie because I don't believe they've given her the kind of edit unless there was a huge public outcry, which I think, there's more outcry for like Abigail or potentially Michelle to be Bachelorette. Oh, like over Brie. So, but those two are examples of women who I think would be great Bachelorettes. Katie. There's a lot of talk about Katie as well. A lot of people like Katie for Bachelorette. So I think there are too many women on the list above going to someone from Peter's season who they didn't even pick anyone from that season for Claire/Tayshia's season. So I would find it, if they did that, I would be shocked. And I think it would be a bad decision. And Hank Hill, thank you so much. Some of that propane cash. Will plus-sized contestants ever be added? It's hard to see it. It's hard to see them doing it, and if they did it, I think it would be like a gimmick or something. Like it would be they'd throw it on to try to appease people, and they wouldn't be actually doing it for honest reasons, and that would be pretty terrifying and gross. Do I want to see plus size contestants be added? Yeah, and apparently Matt James in his interview when he was announced as the Bachelor said, women of all sizes he'd want to see there, but that didn't happen. Like, do I have faith that plus size contestants will ever be added? Not in the near future. But we can see, like, I talk about, this, and like I'll talk about all the issues on the show, not because I hate this show, because I want the show to be better. And there should be contestants of any and all sides, because this show is supposed to be about love. I mean, I'm not naive. I know the show is about ratings and drama, but I want the show to be better. And it should reflect like the reality of America in all its, shapes, sizes, colors, and beauty. So I hope that if we talk about this stuff, like we're talking about, the diversity problems of the franchise, people are being vocal about it, that we can change the show for the better, to properly represent reality. Even though the show is about fantasy, it's about, fantasy. Like, fantasy can be our reality. So I don't know. There's lots of change that needs to happen on the show, from all angles, from in front of the camera to behind it, and I want to see that happen. I hope we can. I hope if a lead says things like, "I'd welcome, women of all shape and size, race, whatever," that they say, "Great. Okay, let's start adding that." So yeah, fantasy can be inclusive, and it should be. But we'll see. We'll see. I believe the show can change, because if, it has made shifts when people were vocal about it. So, thoughts on Claire and Dale? Oh my gosh. The ride never ends. To me, it looks like they know what they're doing. There are too many photos of them in the same location, with like Dale's feet in the background or something like that. But they are back, and they are at it. So yeah, and someone said Chris Soules' season had a plus size woman who was eliminated at one. I remember that. I couldn't remember what season it was, but yeah, like there was one woman eliminated immediately, and because it was from Chris Soules' season, but I couldn't quite remember what season it was. But it was like night one elimination. But like, and back to that whole Claire and Dale stuff. You know, I'll leave it as I left it after their time on their season. If they want to be together, I wish them all the best, and I'm moving on. I'm moving on, because it just seems like a lot. So, yeah, just let Claire and Dale work it out. It's whatever. Yeah, like obviously there's you don't just outright post a breakup statement, blindside your partner, and then have that whole drama and get back together. And there's stuff to work out there. So let them handle that. But okay, we are going to be coming down. Oh, before we get there, we've got one last super chat. I would love for them to have some more LGBT plus people. Maybe have a bi bachelorette and have both men and women as contestants. Yeah, I agree. I would love to see that as well. What I think is more likely, based off of the decisions that the franchise has been making, is they do a separate show. Now, I would love to see more representation as contestants. It has happened before, more specifically on The Bachelor Australia. So I think there's opportunity. I mean, we saw a little bit of it with Demi in Paradise, even though that seemed very, I don't know, it seemed very prepared to me. But will they make the decision to do that? Hard to see right now, but again, let's talk about it. But I could see them potentially, like, if there was a contestant who was bi coming on, them doing another season that was LGBTQ plus focused. But I don't have faith in them doing that for the main season. I'm all for it. I don't see them doing it. Just it's hard enough. It was hard enough getting the first Black Bachelor. So. But totally agree with you. And we are going to be coming now to the end of the stream. So if there are any last questions, let's talk. Let's chat. And then it's on to video editing for tomorrow. Getting that recap out. Yeah, yes to more romance and less fighting. Yeah, I am for any season, any kind of person, any race, any size, any sexual orientation, any gender, whatever, as long as there's more romance, more love, and less of this toxicity and drama. And there can still be drama, and there's going to be drama. But the focus should be more on the romance. I just think about this season versus Tayshia's season. right? Tayshia's season was great. And this was the season immediately afterwards. It feels like they learned nothing. I mean, we still have some time to go, I guess. Feels like they've learned nothing. So, and I believe we can talk about, the contestants on the season, and we can talk about Matt as a lead, but I think the primary point of focus is on the show itself and production. They control more of what we see and how the season goes down and who's on the show than, the cast and the lead. And we tend to focus on the cast and the lead and not what's going on behind the scenes. So, and people say, we're at the final four and it feels like we don't know these women. All four of them. It feels like we don't know them, or we barely know them, or we're like, oh yeah, they got a one-on-one X amount of weeks ago. It feels like it's not the forefront of the season, the romance, and that's a problem. Even when it comes to just purely how you tell a story and the narrative of a season, because you have to go into overdrive connecting the audience to these people once you reach the final four, because this is the section where it's and now it's all about romance, and the drama is heartbreak, not someone stealing another person's champagne bottle or rumors about an escort or bullying. Now the drama's about heartbreak. Love or heartbreak. So we have to go into and we're left in the dust because we're how do we get to a point where we really connect with these people? And maybe we get there. We're kind of getting there with Michelle this episode. But Bree had a whole section of a group date with her and Matt cut that could have been put in instead of Heather. They can cut everything they can cut so much. Or they can trim. They cut a whole section with Hannah Brown on Colton's season because, I don't know, maybe it was going to make her look bad, where she showed up at a hometown. But, here we are. Victoria and I think at the last follow Bachelor data, as of last episode, the person who I don't know what it's like after this episode, but after last episode, the person up until last week who had the most screen time of all the women was Sarah. Sarah, who self-eliminated 3 episodes in or something? Sarah had the most screen time. So, that's what's been the focus of this season. And we come to the end having to play catch up on who these women are. Why do we care about them ending up with Matt? Or this love story. And then compare that to Tayshia's season, which was shorter. Tayshia's season was shorter, by the way. And that was one of the strongest Final Fours I can think of in a long time, where you cared about each of the guys going into that final four. So that's my take. Should tell you everything you need to know about what's right and wrong about how this season versus that season was presented. So Sarah would have won. Yeah, that's that's another thing as well. Like, do you think Sarah would be in the final four if she had stayed? I think Matt liked her a lot. That is definitely possible. But all right, that conversation that we will be talking about that, all that fun stuff in the review of the season. Regardless, even if the next few episodes, the fantasy suite and everything, smash hit, amazing episodes. Oh my gosh. Wow, what a turnaround of a season. Even if that's the case, we're still going to be talking about, the mess and the mistakes of all the episodes before in the review of the season. So, and Alicia, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for sharing that with us, Chris. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you all for joining me for the chat tonight, talking about the show. Gonna be back tomorrow with a recap, of course, and the preview breakdown after that. And the ride continues. The Women Tell All is next week, it looks like, and then back to Fantasy Suites in 2 weeks, if I recall correctly, from the preview at the end of the episode. And it'll be an interesting Women Tell All because it was pre-recorded before the extra interview and all the controversy with Chris Harrison, the talk of him, not coming back. So it'll be interesting to see how they edit it. My guess is it's going to be as if nothing happened. This episode, they had Chris Harrison all over it, especially for a hometown episode, which doesn't include Chris Harrison often, maybe at the beginning, but he had a little sit down with Matt. Maybe they felt it was important to the narrative of the episode, but that's my guess. Anyways, thank you all for joining me. Until tomorrow, Bachelor Fan Take out. Have a great night, everyone.